First here tonight at 6:30, your wagers at Churchill Downs could be in trouble, according to new accusations against the racetrack of unpaid fees. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Alex Dieterer. The Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority, or HISA, has accused Churchill Downs of, quote, freeloading, claiming they failed to pay HISA assessment fees for 2025. WHAS11's Clarice Shaley has more.
Churchill Downs' outstanding fees could limit who can place bets on upcoming races, including the Kentucky Derby. This is based off new allegations by the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority, or HISA, where the regulatory organization claims Churchill Downs has not paid for safety inspections and drug testing at its racetracks last year, totaling more than $2.4 million and nearly $100,000 in interest fees. But Churchill Downs has argued any suggestion that it's not supporting safety efforts is, quote, inaccurate, end quote.
Churchill Downs should be able to afford these penalties because it's still the most successful racetrack in North America, if not one of the most successful ones in the world.
This has left Thomas Lambert, part of the University of Louisville's economics and equine departments, surprised they're in hot water. But he says Churchill Downs has joined a lawsuit challenging the legitimacy of HISA.
Maybe they're afraid that if HISA is overturned and thrown out, that whatever money is paid to them, it's not going to be refunded.
HISA was created back in 2020 by Congress. Lambert says the organization would make the image of the sport better by adding accountability for owners and trainers, something that would help Churchill Downs, who Lambert says has had a rise in horse deaths. The main penalty of this issue could cut down on betting by preventing Churchill Downs from broadcasting races, a main part of the experience, almost as much as watching the horses race. In Louisville, Clarice Shaley, WHAS 11 on your side.
A Churchill Downs spokesperson tells us in part, quote, "We will not accept HISA's mischaracterization of our actions. The authority's recent escalation reflects a troubling pattern of overreach that is harmful to the industry," end quote. And new tonight, President Trump today has raised the threat of new tariffs, which is now up to 15%. It comes after the Supreme Court struck down the president's emergency tariffs yesterday. The court is calling the tariffs a, quote, tax that only Congress can levy. Here's ABC's senior White House correspondent Selena Wang with the latest.
President Trump today escalating his trade war and his war of words with the Supreme Court. The president now says he's putting a 15% tariff on every country. That's up from 10% just yesterday, using a statute allowing him to impose tariffs for only 150 days.
Well, what you have is the president reacting in a stubborn way in support of his tariffs.
Yesterday, the Supreme Court struck down Trump's cornerstone tariffs, ruling only Congress can impose taxes. Today, the president calling the decision ridiculous, poorly written, and extraordinarily anti-American.
I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed, for not having the courage to do what's right for our country.
In the 6-3 decision, the court's liberal justices joining with 3 conservatives, Chief Justice John Roberts and 2 justices appointed by Trump, Neil Gorsuch and Amy Coney Barrett.
I think it's an embarrassment to their families. You want to know the truth? The 2 of them.
Some $142 billion have already been collected from the original tariffs. The question now, how does that money get returned?
Even the Supreme Court in their briefing said, use the word, this will be a mess, in quotes.
2,000 companies have already sued the Trump administration to get refunds for the original tariffs paid by some 300,000 importers, as countries and companies around the world brace for the new 15% tariffs. Selena Wang, ABC News, Washington.
And speaking of those companies suing the Trump administration to get refunds, the sentiment is also making its way to state governments as well. Today, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker demanded President Trump issue tariff refund checks worth billions of dollars. Pritzker, a Democrat, wrote the letter to Trump on Friday, demanding a refund of $1,700 for every family in the state. He estimated that would be roughly $8.7 billion. He also posted the letter on social media, writing, quote, cut the check. He also shared an invoice marked past due delinquent. Meantime, here at home, these tariffs have affected Kentucky's bourbon industry greatly, especially when it comes to the trade war between the United States and Canada. But as WHAS 11 found out, a local bourbon company is feeling optimistic with the Supreme Court's ruling.
I think this is going to be a big win for bourbon. We've been talking about it for years of how tariffs are just never going to help the industry. In fact, it hurts us all the way down to the core.
Kenny Coleman, co-founder and chief operating officer of Pursuit Spirits, says tariffs have hit the company in a number of areas, even down to the cork used for the sealing bottles. The Kentucky Distillers Association echoes Pursuit Spirits, telling us in part, quote, "Kentucky bourbon is a shining example of how American industry can build economies, create jobs, and showcase our best across the globe. Our historic and homegrown industry is better positioned to do that when there is stability in the marketplace, free from uncertainty over tariffs," end quote.